Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Towel Boy, where we try to give you the cleanest takes in sports. It is here. Today is the day. March Madness is officially beginning today with the first of the first four games being played today. First off, we have UMBC versus Howard. Then I'm excited about the nightcap, especially the Texas versus NC State. I think should be a really good game. I'm so excited. This is the best time of the year for me, sitting down 12 hours a day, especially the first Thursday and Friday, of course, watching all these games. Um, so today I'm going to give you picks for my bracket, break down what I'm looking forward to, some of these games, some potential matchups, and of course, follow along. I'm going to be the first person to ever go 67-0, right? Picking obviously I'm going to pick all of these games correctly. So if you want to win your bracket pool, just go ahead, follow along with my picks, just do what I do, and you'll be sure to win. Obviously, I'm kidding. I'm going to miss probably most of these picks more than anything, but that's the brilliance of March Madness. I think some people kind of, well, I mean, a lot of people do it for fun, but if you overthink and you want to do, oh, I'm trying to get all the right picks, get all the upsets, or this is too chalky, just do what you want to do, what makes it more fun. And then at the end of the day, enjoy watching the games. If you root for your bracket, that's awesome, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get it 100% right. So pick what you feel like is good and then roll with it and enjoy the awesomeness of March Madness. So I'm going to start over in the East region. I'm just going to work my way down first rounds, second rounds, 216, all that. Talk about some of the games that I think are going to be interesting and then some matchups I'm looking forward to. Some of them we don't need to talk about too much. Duke is winning against Siena, right? Now, next up, I will say Duke has probably the toughest region, especially to be the number one overall seed. I think out of all the 8 and 9 seeds, like all of those teams, Ohio State and TCU might be the two best teams, right? So this is a really tough game. Inch for inch, pound for pound, I think TCU might be the toughest team in the tournament. Man, they're one of the shortest teams in all of college basketball, but you wouldn't know it. I look forward to a lot of people talk about David Punch being the best player for TCU, but I really think Xavier Edmonds is. He's really kicked it on in the Big 12 conference play, and the biggest thing for them, they do lack size, sometimes inconsistent from three. Whereas Ohio State, they have Bruce Thornton, John Mobley, some guys from the perimeter. If they're lighting it up, can TCU hang with them? But you guys know it's always go Frogs. TCU is going to win that game to play Duke. St. John's, some people freaking out saying they're underseeded. Maybe, but honestly, I don't think it was too big of a deal there. St. John's going to win that game against Northern Iowa. Kansas Cal Baptist, I do think can be kind of interesting, right? Kansas, who knows what you're going to get? Are you going to get the team who looks like they can be Final Four, or do you get the team who looks pretty mediocre, right? Depending on can Darren Peterson play? If he does, can he be one of those guys that carries them? He has the talent to do that. Cal Baptist has one of the most fun players in all of college basketball, Dominique Daniels. Uh, I'm going to go Kansas. They're playing in San Diego, so not that big of a trip for Cal Baptist. And if Cal Baptist was a better 3-point shooting team, I would choose Cal Baptist to win this game as an upset. That being said, they're not much of a threat from the perimeter, which I don't think in March, especially if you're a mid-major or a low-major team looking to upset, especially a big dog like Kansas, you got to be able to hit shots from perimeter. I don't think Cal Baptist has enough to do that, though. That could be a really fun game, I think. Louisville versus South Florida. It's one of those matchups. I feel like every year there is a 5-12, 6-11 matchup where everybody chooses the underdog. South Florida, I'm hearing get a lot of buzz, and I'm going to choose them also, right? So because everybody's choosing South Florida, that probably means Louisville is going to come out and beat them by 30, right? Michael Brown didn't play in the ACC tournament. What's he going to look like? A little banged up. South Florida has some good guards with Wes Enos, right? Joseph Pinion, another knockdown shooter. The American Player of the Year, Isaiah Nelson. South Florida is a top 5 offensive rebounding team in the country. I'm going to go with the Bulls getting a win here over Louisville. Although everyone's choosing them, so it means that they're probably going to lose, right? Michigan State versus North Dakota State. Pretty easy for me. Going Izzo, going Spartans here. UCLA UCF could be a fun game. UCF is a pretty tough Big 12 team. But UCLA's just been on kind of a roll lately. They've been playing really good ball. Their best basketball of the season for sure. I could change this maybe because Donovan Dent and Tyler Bilodeau, right? Probably their two best players, got a little banged up in the Big Ten tournament. I expect them to be fine. I'm going to UCLA. They're going to match up against UConn, the Huskies, right? Hurley and Mick Cronin. That's going to be a really fun presser type matchup in the second round if we get that. Then I'm going to keep moving down in the South. Florida, they're going to go ahead. They're going to win this game. No big deal, right? Clemson, Iowa seems like on paper going to be a low scoring game. Bennett Sturts for Iowa has the potential to be one of those guards that carries them, but I don't think Iowa has enough around him to really do that. I think Clemson's the bigger, tougher team. I'm going to go with the Tigers here. McNeese, unfortunately, got Vanderbilt. I think McNeese is one of the better mid-major, like double-digit seeds. But in March, you need guards to win games, and Vanderbilt has a couple really good ones, right? With Duke Miles, Tyler Tanner. You can even fit Tyler Nickel into that conversation. I'm gonna go with Vanderbilt there. I've also seen some people wanting to pick Troy over Nebraska. I'm going Nebraska. The dream miracle season for the Huskers is going to continue. They're going to get their first ever NCAA tournament win. The Huskers, I think this would be a really fun 5-4 matchup right there. This one right here is a tough one. It's also kind of a trendy upset pick. North Carolina without Caleb Wilson is not the same team, right? Their ceiling is not as high, of course, but I still think they're a good team. Seth Trimble, Henry Vasar, they got some good pieces. But I'm going to give love. VCU is one of the best programs in the country. It doesn't matter who the coach is, who the player is, they're going to win. The A10 champions. And I love watching Terrence Hill Jr. play. Fellow Oregonian, so I always got to cheer for the Oregon boys. But very fun guard, explosive guard play out of VCU. I'm going to go with them to have the upset over North Carolina there. I'm going to go Illinois. I want to, like, part of my heart wants to ride the TJ Power, the Ivy League tournament run that he had, take them to have a crazy upset. But Illinois is just too good of a team, right? Keaton Wagler, David Mirkovich, Andre Stojakovic, Kylan Boswell's back. Illinois is just overall a good team. Very fundamentally, like offensively, one of the best teams in the country, right? Defensively, they've slipped up a little bit. They kind of stumbled towards the end of their season with some losses, but they were close losses to good teams. So I'm going to go Illinois there. I'm going to go Buckyball over St. Mary's. St. Mary's is a better offensive team this year than years past, but they are still one of those St. Mary's Randy Bennett special. If you play against a team that's more athletic and quicker than you, you're probably not going to do well for the Gales. A&M is the definition of a team that which the Gales typically struggle with, right? They get up and down the floor. They press you. I'm going to go A&M winning this game for a matchup against Houston. Moving on to the other side of the bracket. In the West, Fins up. They have no chance, right? Arizona's going to win that game. I really like Arizona. Before I fill this out, Duke and Arizona are probably my two favorites to win this, especially with how the bracket turned out for Arizona. I like the matchups they have. Utah State is underseeded, I think. They typically they slowed down in the regular season with some losses, and then they won 3 games in 3 days to win the Mountain West. I think they're going to win that game against Villanova. A lot of people are choosing High Point to win this game. As a trendier upset pick, Wisconsin is going to be too good. I think Wisconsin, that's going to be a fun offensive game. But you have John Blackwell, right? Nick Boyd in the backcourt, Nolan Winter. I think Wisconsin, they play similar to High Point, but they just have the better athletes, right? It's kind of how high major, mid major works a lot of times. I'm going with the Badgers there. And then, of course, how can I go against Darius Acuff and the Hogs? Hawaii, you might have seen this trending about their special, like, no help defense. Darius Acuff is the best one-on-one isolation player in the country, so I think he's just going to torch the bows there, going the Hogs all the way. Now, Texas, NC State, I actually think those are two pretty good teams that could challenge BYU. I would not be shocked, but BYU is going to have the best player on the floor with AJ DeBonsa, so I'm going to ride with the Cougars there. Gonzaga is a team where I don't know what to do with them because Braden Huff hasn't played for months now, and we haven't really gotten a word back. He is such a talented player, and he fits along Graham Ike. So they need Braden Huff. You're going to play him if he comes back. But what is the team going to look like putting him back in the rotation when he comes back healthy? I'm not entirely sure. Gonzaga's still going to have no problem with Kennesaw State there. Now, I want to brag a little bit. Nobody really expected Miami to be that good. From the preseason, I had them being a top 3 ACC team. I liked the roster that Jay Lucas brought in. They've blown the expectations out of the water, so I feel validated. So I have to ride with my Hurricanes here, going Miami over Missouri, and then Purdue is not going to struggle with Queens there. So setting up that matchup there. Michigan's going to win. They've been a dominant team all year. All the 30-point, 40-point wins, we all know about it. Now, this 8-9 matchup, I'm going with Georgia. I think offensively, Blue Cannon catching is going to be enough. St. Louis started off 24-1. Robbie Avila, one of the most fun players to watch in the country, right? But they have just struggled mightily to end the season. 4 of their losses coming, almost lost to George Washington, right? Um, and I just they look like they're struggling right now, so I'm gonna go with Georgia in this matchup. Texas Tech, Akron's a pretty fun team, but Christian Anderson is going to be one of those. I saw Cole Adams had a video with his like superlatives for the tournament, called it the Kimba candidates, right? Guys that can carry their teams all the way to the championship. Christian Anderson, I think, is one of those guys for Texas Tech. I'm going to go Alabama. Losing Aiden Holloway for at least the first weekend is huge, right? Who knows what's going to happen later on with that situation, but we're going to go. Alabama's going to still beat Hofstra here. I'm going Tennessee. I don't love Tennessee's team this year. I do like Jacoby Gillespie, but just offensively, they don't impress me too much. But they have enough to win the first game. Virginia, I wasn't sold on them all year until their ACC tournament, and that's probably just me riding the momentum. It absolutely is me riding that momentum. But Chance Mallory, Malik Thomas, Tyster Ritter, Ugana Onyensu, like Johan Grunlow, they have some good pieces. I like them. They're going to win a couple games, I think, in this tournament, riding that momentum of the ACC tournament. They're going to take care of Wright State. Kentucky, Santa Clara, I'm going Santa Clara. Let's get the West Coast Conference 2 teams in the second round. And then Iowa State is a team that I could really see making a big run. If Milan Momcilovic catches fire in a game, it's over, right? Jamarian Bateman is catching fire from 3, the freshman. I do worry with do they have enough elite guard play offensively, but they are defensively a juggernaut per usual. Going around to the second round. As much as I love my Frogs, Cam Boozer is on pace to have the best season maybe in the history of the NCAA. I think Duke is just too talented overall. I think TCU can give them a fight, but especially if Patrick Gongba is back, maybe Caleb Foster, I think Duke's just going to have a little bit too much for the Frogs. I do expect the Frogs or Ohio State, whoever wins that game, is going to give Duke a real run for their money. That's going to be a really fun 1-8, 1-9 matchup, but I do think Duke eventually has enough to win that game. St. John's, Kansas. St. John's is 19-1 in their last 20 games. Their lone loss being to 2-seed UConn. I'm saying we get the Final Four type good team here from Kansas. Darren Peterson is going to drop 30 plus. This is going to look fantastic for this one game against St. John's. The Johnny's going to lose this game. Jayhawks, Bill Self is going to buy himself some grace with the Kansas faithful, right? Online, you've seen his name getting dragged a little bit, which is kind of crazy to me, but that's the times that we're in. I want to ride with the Bulls, South Florida, Michigan State here. I want to ride with the Bulls. My heart wants to. Can't bet against Izzo in March. We're going Michigan State here. And then UConn is just better than UCLA, in my opinion. That's going to be a fun matchup as well. 2 of the best coaches with Dan Hurley, Tom Izzo right here, potentially in the Sweet 16. Florida is better than Clemson or Iowa, so it doesn't matter who they face out there. Florida's winning that game. Nebraska's season been so fun. I'm going to go with the Commodores, who are riding a hot SEC tournament wave. Like I said, guards carry you in March. Vanderbilt has really good guards. Tyler Tanner, Duke Miles. Nebraska is a fun defensive team, right? They have awesome players. Rank Moss. I love Sam Hoiberg. Probably Stanford, one of the best shooters in the country. But do they have a guy that can carry them? I'm not sure. Their offense is awesome, but when it comes to March, you have to give the ball to a guy that ISO make this play. I don't know if they have that. Now they are good enough offensively where they maybe don't need that. But I'm gonna go with Vanderbilt. I think they have more guys like Tyler Tanner, Duke Miles to make individual plays to win a game. There. This is gonna be my craziest upset pick. I'm gonna go with VCU over Illinois here. Like I said, I like VCU. They're a fun offensive team. They can get there. Illinois is a really good offensive team. One of the most elite offensive teams. I'm just not a big fan of the Big Ten and how the Big Ten plays. I think when they come up against different styles, you see them struggle often in the tournament. So I'm just going to kind of throw this up. This is my one fun double-digit seed, make it to the Sweet 16. VCU beating Illinois to take on a matchup against the Houston Cougars. Houston's one of those teams, very, very, very good. Obviously, I don't really expect them to struggle too much with it. A&M can give them some trouble at first. I expect Houston to pull away at the end there. Back to the West round. Arizona, I think, is just going to win that matchup against Utah State. They are the one seed for a reason, one of the best teams in the country. And then riding Darius Acuff, right? That's the storyline of SEC tournament of conference play. Jumping up, scouting boards, all that good stuff. Arkansas, the Hogs, are really unfortunate to kind of get this um, seeding here because I think they can go to Elite Eight, Final Four, but they might come to an end against Arizona here later on in the Sweet 16. Gonzaga, BYU, it's no question that when Richie Saunders went down, that the Cougars were borderline not that good of a team. But I'm going to go, AJ DeBonta is going to go, another one of those Kimba candidates. He's going to carry them against Gonzaga. He's going to be the best person on the floor. Rob Wright hopefully can give you 20 points, 4 threes with DeBonta doing his thing. I think BYU is going to win that game to go to the Sweet 16 against the Miami Hurricanes. I said it earlier. I've ridden with them all throughout preseason, so I'm not going to give up on them now. Purdue didn't look very good to end the season until Big Ten play. They won the conference tournament, obviously. Maybe they figured it out. Overall, out of the top seeds, Purdue doesn't impress me too much. Obviously, a very good team that could go to the Elite Eight Final Four, but I'm going to ride with my Hurricanes, upsetting the Boilermakers here with Miami beating Purdue to set up a 6-7. I didn't mean to do that, but a matchup in the Sweet 16. Sorry, the PTSD of the teacher in me, that triggered me pretty bad there. Sorry. And then we have Michigan. I think it's just one of the best teams. They're not going to have a problem with Georgia, I don't think. Although Somto Cyril is a fun big man. I just don't think that Georgia has the size to match up with Michigan there. Then Texas Tech is going to beat Alabama. No Aiden Holloway is a big deal. I think Christian Anderson and Donovan Atwell are going to outscore the backcourt of LeBaron Philon, Latrell Wrightsell there in that matchup. Like I said, I don't like Tennessee's defense or offense of ceiling that much, so I'm going to go Virginia in this matchup to face Iowa State. Iowa State is a really, really good team that can make a Final Four run as well. So I like Iowa State against Santa Clara. Now we've made it to the Sweet 16. Duke, Kansas, the Blue Bloods of the Blue Bloods. Duke is better team. Kansas, their Final Four ceiling, they're going to hit it against St. John's. It's going to fizzle out against Duke. Duke's going to go ahead and beat the Jayhawks. Michigan State versus UConn here. I'm going to go Michigan State. I like Jeremy Fears is going to be able to control the pace of that game. Taurus Reed, Braylon Mullins, Alex Caravan against Michigan State. A very good team, but I like Carson Cooper, Jackson Kohler, excuse me, for Michigan State. I think Jeremy Fears is going to be able to control that game. The X factor in this game, calling it now, Cam Ward is going to have a big game. Double for Cam Ward, Michigan State, off the bench against UConn to win that game. Florida versus Vanderbilt. We just saw Vanderbilt kind of beat up on Florida in the conference tournament, which is unfortunate for them because I don't expect Todd Golden and the Gators to lose to the same team twice in pretty recent succession. Florida is going to come prepared to face Vanderbilt, going to beat the Commodores. VCU's magical run is going to come to an end. Kingston Flemings, Milos Hughes, and Emmanuel Sharp going to go out and beat Virginia Commonwealth here. Arizona, Arkansas, I said earlier, such a fun matchup. Acuff, Malik Thomas versus the backcourt of Jaden Bradley, Braden Burries. Overall, I think the size of Arizona down low with Toe Awaka, Mo Krivas is going to be just a little bit too much for Arkansas. I'm going to go Arizona, although I think this is going to be really fun. If Del Orso isn't hitting shots, if Burries can't get to the rim, if Arkansas's backcourt severely outplays Arizona's, do not be surprised to see the Hogs make that run. But I'm going to go Arizona here to face BYU. I'm going to ride the coattails of AJ DeBonta, the guy who's supposed to be maybe the #1 overall pick. Can you carry a team? Let's see it I'm saying that he can at this point. We're going to get a Big 12 matchup here, Arizona, BYU. Moving on down to the Midwest region. Texas Tech without JT Top with JT Toppin, I think would win this game. I think the injury to LJ Kaysen for Michigan might come back to bite them, but overall Michigan just has a little bit too much for Tech. It's going to be a really close game. I'm going to say 85-83, high scoring game. Michigan wins off of a last second Donovan Atwell miss at the buzzer for Texas Tech. Michigan is going to face Iowa State. I think Virginia's run from the ACC tournament comes to an end here. It's looking very chalky. I know it is. We got 1-3 matchup over here in the West. Then we move out to the South. We got the 1-2 matchup. And in the Midwest, we have a 1-2 matchup. But then we have the 1-6 matchup over in the West. I just think that the best teams are that much better than other teams this year. So forgive me for not being as fun, upset minded. We have some fun upsets, but I think it is going to be mostly chalk in these brackets here. Duke, Michigan State. I think Duke is I think they're the best team in the country. So I'm riding with Duke. If Patrick Gungba or Caleb Foster don't come back, especially Gungba, I think with the size that he brings, I think that Duke might struggle once you hit Michigan State or UConn, right? Or Kansas or St. John's, right? If you face Zuby Ejiofor or Florida Badunga without Gungba, that might be a problem. But I'm going off the fact right now that they're going to come back to some capacity. Cam Boozer is the best player that we've seen maybe ever in the college basketball since. I'm riding with the Blue Devils until I have a reason not to, really. Florida, Houston. Houston, they want to have the redemption from last year's title game. Unfortunately, they just don't have enough on the interior, I think. And I think that Houston can struggle a little bit in the half court. Sometimes if Kingston Flemings isn't going, Emmanuel Sharp has been a little bit disappointing for me this year. In the half court offense, if they're not getting it going, I think they can be a little bit, I don't know what the right word is, but they can kind of stall out a little bit in the half court. I think Florida is going to have just enough with Chinyelu, Condon, how I think they're just going to be bigger than Houston, which is kind of crazy to say, right? You think of Houston, Kelvin Sampson teams as the tougher, more defensive-minded teams. This year, not so much. I'm going to go with Florida in that matchup for a Duke-Florida Final Four game, which will be very exciting. Arizona BYU, we've seen this matchup. BYU's run comes to an end. Arizona's going to win. Also, I just want to say, I think it's fun to go with this. That BYU pick, when I look at it, I hate it. But we're going to go with it. They're not a team that I think is good enough to go to the Elite Eight. But when I'm looking at the bracket, it's just kind of how it falls. So I'm just riding with BYU and AJ DeBonsa really right there. Michigan, Iowa State. I want to love my Big 12 teams, but I think Michigan kind of just has a little bit more overall juice. I think Trey McKinney is a freshman that I really like, and I'm going to expect him to have this huge game against Trey McKinney versus Jamarian Bateman, the freshman sharpshooters. That's the matchup I want to see. I don't care about Yaxel Lindenborg. I don't care about Joshua Jefferson. I want to see Jamarian Bateman, and I want to see Trey McKinney light it up from three. That's the matchup I want to see. Trey McKinney gets it done here. To set up the chalkiest of chalk Final Fours. I'm sorry about that. But you know what? They're the top 4 seeds for a reason. So if you come at me calling me stupid and no fun, well, they are the 4 best teams in the country. So I don't feel too bad. Like I said, I think Duke's the best team. They're going to beat Florida. I think Arizona's the second best team. They're going to beat Michigan. Setting up a really fun Duke-Arizona championship game. He's going to cap off the greatest season we've ever seen. National Player of the Year, Final Four, most outstanding player, championship game. I'm going to go Duke Blue Devils in a pretty good game. I'm going to go 79-70 here. Duke Blue Devils winning the NCAA tournament over Arizona. Boom. Finish my bracket. Locked in. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sure I made all the wrong picks. I'm sure that you guys disagree with a bunch of them. But I'm telling you right now, this is the perfect bracket. All jokes aside, I am so stoked tonight to start watching some March Madness. Please comment below who you guys have winning it all. Some sleeper players you're looking forward to. Some quote-unquote Kemba candidates, guys you think can carry their team all the way. Let me know, what are you most looking forward to in March Madness? I can't wait to watch. Can't wait to see what you guys have. Until next time, have a good one. Peace.